You good?
Did y'all hear that pop? Did that come up?
All right, you want to get started?
Brandon, tell us who you are, man.
My name is Branden.
With an E.
Branden with an E.
Bradon. It's like the B is backwards, and they took off the loops.
I tried doing it when I came up with my logo for the graphic design work I used to do. I would try every different iteration of the letter B.
Do you think that when they were making the alphabet,
Who's
and they were
they?
like, Mr. Bet was making the alphabet, they were like A, and then they made the B, and then when they got to E, they were like, E kind of sounds like B.
Sure.
What if we just took off a part of the B?
What about C and D?
Oh, that's a good point.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. They famously sound like
D
B.
is kind of like just like B, but without the middle thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And C is kind of like just the curved part of the B on this theory. But I learned this whenever I was in Hebrew, but the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet are Aleph and Bet. So that's why the alphabet is called the alphabet.
Right.
It's just the first two letters of the Hebrew language.
Aleph.
Aleph and Bet. Aleph, Bet.
There's a little show on TV back in the day called Alf.
Yeah.
Alien Life Form. He was a little tiny puppet. I don't know if you guys ever watched that
Nope.
show.
Missed it.
But you gotta wonder.
Yeah.
You gotta wonder if it was based on that. Mm-hmm. What's a coffee situation around here?
The other day I was watching the Georgia football game, and Alpha was sponsored, and Alpha stands for the Alabama Farmers Administration. Why do you think that was a sponsor at a Georgia football? Like, it was in the stadium.
Eyeballs, man.
Do you think that many people from Alabama have to go to Georgia games in order for people to go to their games? Are you a Georgia fan?
Nope.
Oh, what are you a fan of?
Where am I a fan of?
Or what?
What do you like?
I do like Alabama football, but just really love getting into the Word whenever I can.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I don't, if I get time to.
Where are you from, Brandon?
So I'm Branden. My name is Branden Lower, Branden, and the reason why is because my parents like the name Branden. Mostly it's Brandon with an O, Brandon. But my dad had worked for a guy named Don that he thought was a little bit of a jerk, and so he couldn't stand the thought of Don being in my name. So
that's funny.
That's why I'm Brandon with an E.
Yeah.
Which is really nice because I get all the URLs or handles
Totally.
wherever I go. But it's also why I want to be kind to like people that work with me. In case they ever want to name their kids Brandon or something, that they would consider.
Don't want to ruin the name.
The other day I was on, I was trying to figure out what England's roster was going to be for the.
Is this a football thing?
No, this is for soccer.
Yes.
It relates with what we're talking about, I promise.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take us down another rabbit trail right now. But England, their men's soccer team, I was trying to figure out what their roster was going to be because they're about to have a few international games. The World Cup's coming up. It's really interesting on the politics of which players are being involved and left out, yada, yada. And I looked up England on Instagram, and England's soccer team's Instagram handle is just England.
Sick.
You would think that they would give that to the country's Instagram account. And then I was like, do countries have Instagram accounts? This is the United States of America?
I know the White House has one. I don't know if the United States has one.
If they did, what would they post?
New GDP just dropped.
They're like, heads up, guys, we're in a lockdown. And I'm like, how are you posting this? You're in a lockdown. Because it's you wouldn't have a job.
So you're saying this would be a government run account?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess someone else could run it, but who would if it wasn't a government?
It's got to be some culture bearer for the United States.
I feel like that would be kind of it's a crazy thing to think about. One person would run the Instagram account for the whole country.
Somebody runs the Instagram account for the IRS, and it's a great follow if you
Really?
followed it. Yeah.
What does IRS stand for?
It's
Internal.
You really want to know?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you really want to know.
I do want to know.
The Internal Revenue Service.
Wow.
Oh.
I was going to
This
let you
isn't
take that one.
This isn't common knowledge, or it is.
I knew what it
I'm
stood
being
for.
dead serious. I had no idea.
Okay.
I just know the IRS comes.
I'm a
to
big
get you when you
acronym
don't.
guy. I
Yeah.
know what things stand
What's your
for.
favorite acronym?
You're not a big acronym guy. I think you probably enjoy when acronyms are rather smaller.
That's true.
I think
By
you're more
big,
of a small acronym.
by big acronym guy, what I meant was I am a fan of acronyms and I like to know what they mean.
What do you think is the
Particularly like
biggest-
the 3-letter acronyms.
What do you think is the biggest acronym that you know?
The like most popular or like the largest, like longest.
That's what I'm
That's a
asking.
great follow-up question. Why don't we do both? Does that sound good?
I honestly think the FBI has to be the most popular.
I was going to say
Over,
either
just to be
FBI or
clear,
CIA.
USA, which you said a second ago.
Ooh.
Ooh, I forgot USA was.
But is an acronym supposed to be another?
You ever thought about every continent starts with A?
Have I ever thought
Or
about it?
sorry, every continent starts and ends with a vowel. I learned that the other day. Europe, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, America.
There's only 7 of them, so
Well, it's
Why do you think they do that?
there's
start and with A.
North,
North
America,
America,
and then South
America.
America.
Yeah, but that's more of
Debatable.
like adjectives to what it actually is. The subject is
Got it.
America.
Right.
Anyways, so what do you think is the biggest, like the longest one, like the largest one? The
what do we
biggest one?
think it is?
Yeah.
Your dad sent one the other day that was like it was October, and it was like, you know, love God always
Observe
and be
God.
yeah
Commit to God. Thank
Talk to God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Observe God
Him.
again.
God again.
Believe in God.
Yeah.
Enjoy God.
Yeah.
Rest
Rest
in
in
God.
God. That's good.
October.
October.
I think I genuinely can't think of one besides like I know that the like Prindle is referred to as the Prindle a lot, like the park reverse neutral
I wish
drive.
there was a way to
low.
find this out.
Hey Jamie, can you pull up longest acronym?
Yeah, just go and pull that up.
Is there one that's longer
Oh
than
my goodness! Wow.
FIFA?
How did I forget
I'm
that?
trying to think of
8
any
letters long.
five-letter-
Yeah, I can't believe we
15.
forgot that one. That one's so
one?
well
Goodness
known.
gracious, but it looks like it's
The one
not.
that
What
Jamie
is
just
that?
pulled up. It's right up there.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, right on the screen, right there. Seriously.
No.
Oh well.
Wow, it's been in 82. It feels like it's older than
The
that.
NCAA, that's a 4-letter. I'm really trying to think of anything just like originally without, the encyclopedia.
I think a SIPCO is an acronym, but I don't remember what it
Alabama Cast Iron
stands
Pipe
for.
Company.
Yeah.
ACIPCO. That's still 5. That's a 5-letter one right there.
I'm not entirely sure that people are going to enjoy this conversation.
I hope that we're provoking many brain cells in their head to think.
This is a little bit how Wesley went too. We just didn't we kept trying to talk about Wesley, and then it kept just turning
Oh
into.
well, actually, I'll say this. I'm far more interested. Can I interview you guys? I'm far more interested in the two of you.
We could go back and forth. Everyone has to answer the question that, everyone has to answer the same question.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little bit about who I am.
Yeah.
Well, we learned that you were from
Decatur.
Decatur, no place greater.
Yep. Me
learned-
and not Wesley.
We learned that your name was Brandon, and so it was spelled with an E.
Yeah.
We learned your parents' names, Cindy, Cynthia,
Yep.
Cynthia, and Greg.
Yeah. But I also, to be clear, never said I was from Decatur. Yeah, I think you are
You're
thinking
right.
Wesley.
Where did we go with
I
that?
thought he said that you were from here. Maybe that's why we were thinking that.
Well, I probably am now. So I grew up in East Tennessee,
Oh, okay.
near a little town called Strawberry Plains.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
That is cool.
The lore there was if a horse would lie on its side and it would get back up, its side would be stained red with the blood of its enemies.
Yeah.
Strawberries, yeah. And went to Sanford in 04 to 08. Go Dogs.
Bow wow.
Go Dogs. Sco.
Sco Dog.
Go
Go
Dogs.
Dogs. Went to Sanford, graduated in 08, and then stayed in Birmingham. So
You been in Birmingham the whole time.
Been in Birmingham since 04. So at this point, I'm a Birmingham boy.
You lived
Come
down
on.
here the whole time in Crestwood?
Nope.
Where all were you?
Homewood for school, Highlands, Irondale, Arundel.
Let's go.
Shout out
I
Irondale.
haven't heard that in forever.
And then to Crestwood, Redeemer East.
Redeemers. What year did you move to Crestwood?
2016. We bought a house that was pretty terrible condition, and my wife had a vision for us being able to live there, and I did not have that vision. I was like, next. But we hired awesome contractor, Dave Parker. I don't know if you guys have
Shout out.
Dave Parker. And
I learned he was a contractor this week.
You did?
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Where if he's like walking around with pants on, he's got a hammer, where would he store that?
I would really hope he'd be wearing something else too. But the I
With
just
like a little
pants and a
like
hammer.
if he had a pair of work pants on,
Yeah.
pair of carpenter pants on,
Yeah.
there'd be a little loop, little nice
And you just put it
loop.
right in that loop.
Put it right in that loop.
So we renovated the house and been living there with our little family of 4 ever since.
How many bathrooms?
2.5. I guess
freaking
you
go.
could shower in the downstairs one, but you'd be just kind of splashing water on yourself from a
From a little
bidet.
sink. Oh, from a little bidet. Different.
Do you have a bidet?
3.
We have 2 bidets.
Yeah.
One toilet?
2 toilets. 2 toilets, 2 bidets.
Yeah. If you're not on the bidet train, you got
I
to
got
be.
one toilet, 0 bidet.
Yeah.
In my home.
We can change that.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
I think
Were
if
they in the house
somebody
before?
said- no. I didn't.
I'm asking him if they were in
Oh,
your
no,
house
no, no,
before.
no, no, no. These were.
He said he
posthumously
didn't have a
added.
vision for how he could live there.
Yeah.
So there obviously wasn't bidets.
Yeah.
Right,
If I saw
right.
the bidets, I would have caught the vision.
Understood. Understood.
Could you imagine? Brandon shows up to a dilapidated house in Crestwood. He's like,
But I see it.
But honey,
I
look,
see it.
look.
I see it.
You see it. It's
I see
poking
it.
out. It's poking out from behind the toilet seat. You
where do
see
you
it?
live at in Crestwood? I mean, wait, sorry, let me ask this in a non-doxing way. Do you live near where like Redeemer East is? Like where all the
Yeah,
Redeemer
yeah,
folks live?
ish. Yeah, I mean, I live a couple blocks from the Vineyard. Shout out the Vineyard.
Shout out the Vineyard.
Have you been to the Vineyard?
I haven't
One of the
been to
best
the
beer
Vineyard.
selections in Birmingham,
Really?
in my opinion. IMHO.
I'd agree. Yeah.
And lovely little shopping center where they got good beer and they got all the food. Little trick
Okay.
to our listeners out there. Go to the Vineyard if you live in Crestwood and just take pictures of all the shelves
Mm-hmm.
and create a little album on your Photos app. So if you ever wonder, does the
Do they have
Vineyard
that?
have it? Then you can just pull it back up.
It's a good trick.
Little.
It's a hack.
Yeah.
Life hack.
Yeah. Tell me some life hacks that you guys know.
Get a bidet.
That's a good one.
That's my recent hack. Or buy a house that already has bidets installed. That's what
Sure.
I did.
Sight unseen if it's got
Yeah.
the bidet installed. Can I give you one? Have you ever been at a gas station and the handle's broken and you just take the cap off of your car and just kind of wedge it up
Shove
there
it
and
right up in there.
and it'll stay closed.
Well,
I've used chapstick to do that before.
That's a good
Little
life hack.
chapsticks you can stick in there.
you take the case off your phone, and then you put the throw up bag in airplane. You take
Yep.
it and you
Yep.
and you close it in
Yep.
the tray, and then you put your like if then a sleeve of the throw up bag is then hanging out of the tray, and it's like a little loose leaf sheet of paper. And then imagine putting your case behind that loose leaf sheet of paper and your phone in front of that loose leaf sheet of paper, and then putting your case on your phone with that in between. Then it becomes a little stand for your phone to hang down from.
Put up on the screen
What Steven's
he's
talking about. Put it up
yeah.
here. Jamie.
I saw a girl do
Up here?
that.
Yeah,
I saw a
yeah,
girl
right
do
Out
that
here.
next to me on a plane, and I was like, woke up Gracie, like elbowed her. I was like, look at this. This is crazy.
What are you guys interested in?
I like people a lot. I like to meet new people and learn about them. I like
Okay.
to collect people.
Yeah, why did you tell me why you guys did this podcast?
Honestly, that was part of it. Part of it was like we have.
Hyper local podcast.
Yeah, it is hyper local for the time being.
Oh,
You know what I like? I really like making coffee.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's an entirely set up pour over.
You want to
thing
get
around-
started on
okay.
that?
Why don't you do that? I'll tell the story of how we started so we can catch Brandon up.
Yeah, Myers is better at this than I am.
We have a bunch of cool friends like you who do cool things around Birmingham. And so we started this like with a dream of being like one day we can interview like Branden Lower, who like started Golden Age or something. It's a coffee hand grinder.
Can I tell you a quick story about Branden Lower?
Yeah.
Branden Lower and I only have 3 letters different in our 2 letters different in our whole name.
That's true.
He's an O instead of an E.
Yep.
And he's a P instead of a W.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some of his emails before.
That's
And
hilarious.
forwarded on to him. I think this is for you. So
That's so funny.
If you as people were a name, how many letters would be different?
I'm sorry, what?
If you and Branden Lower were people, like if your names were people, like you as people, not an assortment of letters, how many letters would be different in that name?
That
3.
So we started a podcast to interview all the people we like, and then our dream was also to interview like people who had done other things around town that we think are cool and make friends with them. And so we did. And there's other things ancillary to that. Is like we want to interview our parents so we can have this like time capsule conversation of like our parents' childhoods, so that we can share that with our grandkids and stuff like that. And we were like, we're both guilty of spitballing ideas and talking about big ideas and dreams all the time and never actually doing anything. And this was like one of the lowest lift, easiest things to do.
Yeah.
And it's really fun, and we still like it. And it gets us out talking to people other than our wives who
that's
don't
great.
want to listen to us talk all the time. Sometimes they do, but not all the time.
Well, what's when we were talking at Whammy? I'm still on. Yeah. When we were talking about at Whammy, anything we were having conversations about that kind of made you like, oh, that's really cool. I'd like to unpack that.
Yeah, I really wanted to delve into, so you're in graphic design world, and particularly what we talked about was you have a high focus on execution and getting things
right.
done.
That's right.
Whereas most of the time when you talk to people in graphic design world, it's a lot about ideas and branding and trying to vision cast and create this like something out of nothing. Whereas you put a lot of more focus on like getting stuff done,
Yeah, that's
accomplishing.
right.
So how did you land there? Where'd you develop
Man, that's
that
a great
philosophy?
question. So I, when I was studying graphic design at Samford, I think there was this idea that you had to be really good at logo design in order to be a good graphic designer. And I think the fascinating thing about that is, like, while I'm studying to be a designer, I'm almost losing my desire to actually be a designer because I felt like, oh, this is not, I'm not going to be able to cut it because I'm not a very good logo designer, not a highly conceptual thinker. I was the type of kid when everyone's like, oh, color outside the lines and color on a blank sheet of paper. And I was like, I kind of like coloring in the lines, and I kind of like making pretty pictures. And with Lego, I would always want to build it exactly what was on the, instruction set. And I'm a systematic person, and so because of that, I would just really enjoy the focus on execution, follow through, getting things done, seeing things come to fruition. My mind was just systematic, and I was getting ready to graduate, and was looking to get in the workforce, and I thought, well, I don't think I'm going to cut it in the design and agency field, so I'm going to go work for a photographer and sort of do in-house design and focus on execution and getting things done. And so over time, I realized that I think that was the first time, like getting hired out of school to do work that I was good at, was the first time I realized like that there's value in skills, like in specific skill sets that aren't necessarily valued broadly, but there are narrow ways that you can kind of get the right attention or the right focus, or especially in the marketplace. And so, what's cool is got to do that for a long time and really start to hone those skills. I'll stop there for a second, but
so what were you doing working for the photographer?
So I did a lot of like graphic design for our brand identity work, and I did color work, color correction work. I did album design, shot Super 8.
That's so
for a
cool.
long time. I probably shot over 100 weddings in Super 8.
That's so sick. Were you working with our friend Brian?
I was working with Brian Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. We ended up working together for 12 years.
It's a little while.
Yeah. And mostly because I think he really fostered this sense of, I'll never forget, we were doing a rebrand with a company, and I got my feelings so hurt because I was like, I'm a graphic designer. Why don't you hire me to do it? I'm here. And he was like, it's not can you do this, it's should you do this? Is like this your best skill set? And like it was a blow at first, but then it was like this really awesome observation that like I'm really gifted in this particular area. And when we did our rebrand, I was like, saw for the first time this thing of brand guidelines, and so I just executed it, rolled it out. I was able to design piece after piece after piece with this brand guidelines. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And the agency was like, we never see people actually take this and run with it like you've been able to do it. And I think it's because of Brian really helping me realize that there is, something to be said for like leaning into that which makes you unique and special.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, I'm from East Tennessee near Dollywood. Grew up going to Dollywood, season passes there. And Dolly has a wonderful quote. She says, figure out who you are and do it on purpose. And I think it was at that moment where I was like, you know what? Like who I am is I'm built for follow through and systematic thinking and execution. I just want to lean into that skill set. And what I realized at that point is we had gone through a couple other, seen some other rebrands where, again, this highly beautiful, highly conceptual work gets delivered, and the client's like, this is great, but what do I do with it? And usually the agency is like, they're not built for execution and follow through. They're on sort of the next thing. And so I really developed a passion for figuring out how to take this wonderful creative work that existed and make sure that it gets actually used. So in some ways, I want to be a champion of the creative, right, that worked really hard to do this beautiful logo work and design work, and I actually want to make sure that it doesn't die on the vine.
Yeah.
But also want to find a way for...
You got to figure out how to use the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. When so along in that process, at some point you start your own company.
Yeah. I left Brian in 2019. I think both were at a place where like we needed to grow apart from each other so that we could keep going. It's pretty cool. Like he has turned out to be one of my best friends now, and so like we're each other's biggest champions. And
may or may not be doing a joint podcast with him at some point.
Yeah. It was great. I went to go work for JH Ranch for a couple of years, and there I got to like work for a nonprofit and realize like design is only as good as the people in your organization, their ability to use it, right? So we had people that are sending out emails, and like if you just let them go rogue and send whatever they want, that's going to be your brand, right? And so I just kind of was like, well, how do I make design accessible for a 60-year-old? How do I make design accessible for a non-designer? How do I make it easy to understand templates, tools? How do I equip her? Because like I am our creative director, and I'm only thinking about our logo 5 days out of the year. So there's usually a lot of like And logos are great. And logos are important. But just the reality of the day to day is I wasn't thinking about our logo. I was like, what one cheater do we need? And what design thing, what social has to go out, all of those things. And so how can I create systems and tools and templates and training around that to make sure the design can be accessible at anyone's level? And it was at that point I just really feel like I had a moment of clarity that like, oh, I can go do this on my own. And so with the support of my wife, really felt like I wanted to impact as many businesses as I could, really in bringing peace of mind in their like marketing, design, branding. It's like the greatest joy is when I get to have a conversation with somebody and their shoulders drop because I feel like, okay, I'm seen, I'm heard, someone's going to help me take care of this. And that's why I love doing what I do, is because I feel like I can actually like help somebody sleep better at night, right? I can help give answers where they've been, not getting answers. And so that's where I get the joy of like living into what I feel like I'm uniquely bent for, building a business around that, and then like helping people not only get the thing that they need, but the thing behind that is the peace of mind, the rest and all that.
That's rad. Did you always think growing up that you were going to be an entrepreneur and start your own thing?
Honestly, never. I did not really feel like I had a visionary bone in my body. Working alongside Brian for 12 years, I thought I was sort of the best number two that you could possibly have. But I really believe I was gifted with this bent, this skill set, this mindset. Thank you, sir. And wanted to, carry that forward as far as I could, as long as I could. And I've since come to like really enjoy it. It's how I describe it to some people sometime. I don't know if you've ever played like those time management games where you're like Sally's Salon, or like you're making the pizza or the burger
Cooking
place.
Mama.
Yeah. Cooking Mama. Yeah. Sally's Salon. And that's what entrepreneurship is in a lot of ways. It's like, oh, let me upgrade this, or let me hire this, or let me grow this, or let me focus on this, or let me speed this up. Or there's never a time in any of those games where it's like the next level is what the previous level just was.
Yeah.
And then you just are like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. It's like every level just somehow progressively gets harder and harder, and you got more to think about and more to think about. And I really enjoy that. I enjoy the always on your toes kind of aspect of entrepreneurship. But what is, I think probably the hardest part is knowing that you have something so like that can really help people, but you just struggle to like get traction and see how that they can understand that and be impacted by it.
Like, how difficult was it to not name your company brand in?
It was not difficult at all, because it'd be a really bad name. But
do you think that there was like a divine, like, coincidence there?
Like John the Baptist being named John the Baptist.
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't.
Jesus.
Yeah, he probably wasn't named John the Baptist when he was a baby.
I don't know.
He just kind of maybe retroactively.
But another thing is like
he waited the whole thing.
This whole time he's been thinking of this question. Making the coffee, he was thinking of this question.
one thing I'm really curious about you. Your wife is also incredibly creative, and is a creative in a sense. What's it like, both of y'all being that way?
Well,
shout out Lindsay.
I mean, she's infinitely more creative than I am.
I feel like she's more, like, from what you were saying, it makes things make more sense in my mind, because you being like a brand manager, or not manager, but like brand isn't like the package,
Sure,
and then the outflow of that.
Yeah,
that makes you make so much more sense in what gets you fired up. That makes so many things make more sense in my experience of just being your friend for the past, like, I don't know, whenever I met you, 8 months ago, for real. I mean, I met you like years ago, but I feel like we didn't actually start talking till like 6 or 7 months ago. But Lindsay feels much more like left brain, like like I don't know if the right word for it, like creativity or something like that, less order. Like she feels like she definitely didn't like coloring in
Visionary, the dreamer.
Am I wrong about that? Or
Well, she would not say that. If she were here, she'd be like, "Oh gosh," because she, it'd be like she just feels like she's, doing the thing that she's asked to do.
What does your wife do?
She is a prop stylist, art director, photo stylist. So traditionally in the food world, if you're taking a food image, somebody has to take the picture. That's your photographer. Somebody has to put the food on the plate and make it look pretty on the plate. That's the food stylist. Your prop stylist is basically who brings everything, brings the plate, brings the surface, brings the things, and also like maps it out.
Was that what she was doing on the commercial she was doing this week? Or
So
was
she was just an art director as a stylist, so making sure that the things in the frame look good. She'd look at your countertop and make sure everything's placed really well in that space with the coffee. So I think why she is creative is because she thinks that she's just doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you know that you're like really living in your thing. You're like, I'm just doing this thing. Like for me, when Brian and I, we were, he'll talk about this in the future, but we were reached out to by Chick-fil-A to do a huge photo shoot where all the images were going to go in Chick-fil-A's across the states. And I'm like helping him plan the shoot. So I'm like, so-and-so's going to do this, and they're going to be here, and you're going to do this, and here's the schedule. And he's like, how do you do this? And I'm like literally thinking I'm just just writing a schedule out.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to, I mean, you just think that surely everybody's brain works this way.
Yeah.
It's just they don't. And
that's so cool.
When you find that out it's just what a blessing it is to say, one, this is what I'm good at, and two, like to lean into that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so with Lindsay and I, what's wild is in all the years that I've been in creative, we've never been on a shoot or anything together, which is kind of crazy.
Really?
But
you think it would go well or bad?
I think it would go smoothly, very smoothly.
Huh.
But our house looks very beautiful, and we love hosting, and we definitely drink the hospitality tea, the Kool-Aid, hospitality Kool-Aid
tea
of Redeemer, and so hospitality tea. That's nice, dude.
That's right.
That's so cool.
Can I tell you? Sorry, go ahead.
You got it.
You were going to say something.
I was going to say, I think it's really cool. That's usually my encouragement to younger people is like, try really hard to figure out, like I talking to guys in college and stuff like that about what to do with their careers. Figure out like what you're good at and what you like doing, and then figure out how you can make money doing that, Cheers. And I say that because that's what I'm trying to do. And working in different organizations, I think my calling is more to be an entrepreneur and like be a leader in that sense.
Yeah.
And I think some of my skill sets align similarly with yours, where it's like I'm a creative person, but I think I'm much better at like the organization of things and the creating order out of chaos. And I do think that's like a creative process, like creating systems to achieve results in businesses is a creative process, because otherwise there's just this balance of like letting everyone kind of do things their own way, but also making sure you're accomplishing things.
Sure.
Anyway, but I think it's really cool that you're like, you identified that in yourself, and then you're also living into it. And I think sometimes it's really hard to figure out how to identify that. And I think you're really on the money with like, if this comes naturally to you and you almost don't even know how to describe how to do it, but you just know how to do it, like that's probably the thing.
Sure. I think the thing that's fascinating about that why branding is such a natural outpouring of this is because I think when you're talking about branding your business, what you're trying to do, everybody's trying to like be successful, but they want to gain customers, retain customers. Well, how do you do that? Is you have a captive audience, and you do that by like really understanding your place in the marketplace, right? And so there's this incredible brand strategist that talks about like learning to love your competitors, and what he means by that is like traditionally in the like in a space where you're commoditized, which means that you offer the same thing that somebody else does. You sell socks, right? They sell socks. They sell socks. Like all you're competing on price. You're competing on maybe your visual aesthetics trying to be different, but you're all effectively selling the same thing, right? And so how do you? Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate yourself, or how do you stand out so you can potentially capture, this over here? It's you kind of look at whatever this space is, and you say, are there opinions that I have that are contrarian to this that other people are looking for? So I'll never forget. I was sitting with Mitch McEver, and we were talking about design for Whammy, and he was like, I just need a color by numbers. And part of me went, oof, to say color by numbers to a branding person, that's like diminishing or degrading a little bit of what we do. But in reality, like, we do that really well. We provide tangible, here's how you do your brand. And if you can figure out something that you do really well that would make your industry cringe, like, that's pay dirt, right? And so you can say, oh, you guys are all going to be going after people that love this. I'm going to go over here where nobody else is, and I'm going to try to capture this. And so with branding, a lot of that is like figure out what you do as a business and do it on purpose, which is to say, how am I unique? How am I uniquely bent? What are my unique set of features and skill sets and abilities as a business, as an entrepreneur, that allow me to say, like, y'all are good. Like, y'all keep going after that type of business over there. I'm going to try to go after, this business over here. And so a lot of branding is like, you're in a desert selling water, and you are sitting there next to your two competitors selling to a line of 100 people. And you're looking over and you're like, well, there's a line of 75 people that no one seems to be like, I want to go over there and find out what that line is interested in. Yeah. Am I uniquely bent to serve that? So that's what I like so much about this space and branding, is really you get to help people realize what's good about them and why are they well suited to serve their space. And my tip for you, or for anybody in that, is to just write out 20 opinions you have about the space that you're in. 20 opinions that, like, and that's what they are. They are opinions. They are not facts. Yeah. It's like, if you believe this and this and this and this, you're the only person that's going to come up with that list of 20 opinions about your space, and then shape a brand position and a market position around those kind of 20 ideas. That's how you can stand out and start to differentiate yourself from your competitors.
Yeah, that's so sick.
I've been geeking out a lot over this idea lately. I was listening to a podcast the other day that quoted Soren Kierkegaard's 3 spheres of existence. Soren Kierkegaard was a Danish philosopher who lived in the 1500s.
Shout out, Jeff.
Come on, shout
out, Jeff.
I'm really excited. I'm going to Copenhagen next week, and I get to see the desk that he wrote a lot of his things on, Mr. Kierkegaard, not Jeff.
Shout out, Soren.
Shout out, Soren. But his 3 spheres of existence, this is how he explains the world. Or it's one of his explanations for the world. One is the ethical, which is logical, rational thought, orderly, makes a lot of sense. The other, so he's ethical. Then he has aesthetic, which is emotional, irrational, fun, energetic. That's the second type of thought. And then he says the third is the perfect synthesis of the two, and that is the religious. He was a Christian, but I think that's not entirely what he's trying to... Shout out Jesus. I don't think that's entirely what he was trying to explain, but he noticed that Jesus perfectly synthesized those two things a lot throughout the teachings of Jesus Christ. And I think I have been able to understand that's every once in a while, I'll find myself being 2 in the aesthetic sphere, 2 in the artistic sphere, and I'm not really being fully satisfied. Or I'll find myself 2 in a logical sphere, and I find myself not being, like, satisfied. But then every once in a while, I'll kind of find, like, equilibrium there, and I'll be like striking that chord of the religious experience. I find that it was the first time in my life that I've seen it explained why I find it to be so fascinating that when I work in church, I'm speaking from my own experience. When I work in church, a lot of people, rightfully so, because of the American church and how like church works, at a lot of churches, they immediately think of me in a certain way. And they think that I'm not artistic at all, or maybe they think that I'm a certain type of person. It's very hard to find people outside of like the church that we go to that understand why, like, even though I would definitely identify as an primarily artistic person, would ever want to work in college ministry. Because when people think of college ministry, they think of like a one type of person. They think of like a youth pastor or something like that. It's like a high energy, self-obsessed, like, kind of like hashtag swag, YOLO, church merch kind of guy. And I don't think that's like why I work at church at all. I think I work in church at all because in really beautiful ways, Jesus has helped me like understand the world better. And I really love Kierkegaard's thoughts there. And I feel like it's kind of similar to what you're talking about and the realization that Myers just pointed out of a lot of times whenever we think like, oh, we have to work in, like, you have to choose between the two. Like, I'm either a right brain person and I should work in business, or I'm a left brain person and I should be a painter or a musician or fill in the blank. And I think that, and I was even talking about this with some friends the other day, like the whole introvert extrovert spectrum. Like, I just hate that conversation because it forces people into these like boxes and makes them feel insecure and not confident. But like one or the other, both of them make them feel like not confident, because everyone needs both of a introvert and extrovert qualities. That's just how we're wired as human beings. Like, sure, the conversation can be helpful if you keep it in the right like box or whatever, but I just don't think people keep that conversation in the right box at all. Similarly to what we're talking about right now, like, I think that it's so cool that what you do is like, it is literally both, because you very well could have been going throughout school as a graphic designer and realize that about yourself, and you could have been like, oh wait, I'm like actually not that like stereotypically creative, so I should just like switch to finance.
Yeah, or architecture.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
engineering.
creative. Yeah, engineering. Yeah.
And like, I didn't realize this till the other day, but or till the other day. Like, this was a few years ago. It was after I went to college, but I have a friend who's an architect, and I didn't know this, but whenever you're an architect, you don't actually have any control over what actually gets designed. Like, you just come up with an idea and then you send that to an engineer, and the engineer like fact checks your architecture. And a lot of great architecture firms have people that have engineering degrees that practice architecture, and those are like in his opinion, those are like some of the best architects in the world, because they understand how like this is such a literal metaphor, but like whenever he went to he got this like summer degree in architecture at Harvard, and they had to get green certified, so they had to essentially get certified to draw up the specs and build green certified houses. So houses that have wells and solar panels that are completely off the grid, which is what a lot of like very rich neighborhoods in like New York and Austin and those kind of places will build, because it makes them like independent homes, which makes them cheaper in the long run. And in order for you to do that, you have to know exactly how the earth works. And it doesn't matter how artistic you are. Like, the well has to be drilled in a proper way at a certain type of ground, which I think is really, really, really cool. But I think when you think about this kind of stuff like in a lazy way, it's just so easy to be like, oh, you're good at piano, you need to go to music school. And it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily what that means.
Yeah, it's like the phrase, the word artsy.
Yeah.
You're artsy. I love this. I love the idea, because I think it just, what I'm always fascinated about is I always like, the first question I always ask people is like, well, why did you start your business?
Yeah.
And there's usually some mixture of the things that you're talking about, of reason or purpose, or a gap that was seen, or this wasn't done well. And very rarely is it like oh, this thing just isn't being made and it's uniquely not being made, and I just want to make some money and I don't care about it. It's usually some belief system or something that is some mixture of that you said analytical and
or aesthetic and ethical.
Aesthetic and ethical. And so that's why, like, I never tell, like, people will say, oh, I'm just not a very creative person. Like, every single person has creative. I mean, I've seen some people work in some spreadsheets in some of the most creative ways
Oh my gosh,
possible.
dude.
And
A good spreadsheet, fire me up, man. Goodness. And they're freaking, it is hard to make a good spreadsheet that makes
Yeah.
sense.
well, what I wanted to ask you is, like, what when you hear these things and you think about, you know, starting something, like, how does it impact you? What in yourself do you start to see, and what do you start to think about? And you're like, man, I want to bring this forth, you know?
Yeah, a lot of my passion in business has to do with like workplace environment and giving people a place to work that emphasizes their humanity and also their I
I feel
think
like we literally end up talking about Yvonne every single episode. these
I
days.
talk about
So you
this
should
is
just
like
go
my
ahead and say
my
it.
soapbox. Yvonne Schudenard, who started Patagonia. Patagonia's HQ is in where is it?
Somewhere in Southern California.
Yeah, it's
Santa Cruz? No.
no, it's something like that though. I think it's something. Is it one of the vistas? Anyway, Costa
Buena.
Mesa. I think it's Costa Mesa.
Maybe.
Anyway, their time off policy or their PTO policy or whatever is called "Let My People Go Surfing," and it's
Shout out Moses.
Shout out.
the positioning of the town is it's a beach town, but it's really close to the mountains because California you get both, which is what makes that place so cool. And Ventura, yeah. The idea is if the waves are really good Tuesday at 10 a.m., go surfing.
Get the heck out of there.
If the snow is really fire and the powder's fresh on Wednesday afternoon, go snowboard because the powder's fresh. Their whole thing is basically like work and life should be more of this like flowing thing where it's like you're getting stuff done, but you're not this like person who's tied to a desk. And so most of my passions in business, I think, have to do with like creating a work environment that's similar to that, where, you know, your kids have a Friday afternoon baseball game. Go leave the office. Go see your kids' baseball game. Your kids have a play on Tuesday morning. Go to the play. We're in Birmingham, but you know the weather's really nice. Go mountain bike. Go do something else. And trusting people to be adults and get their work done. Because we are adults, and I've studied a lot of the history of like modern workplace environments and stuff like that. But anyway, so most of what I care about is more about like creating a work environment for people to thrive and be successful. And I think part of that is creating like a really good financial model for the business. Like you need to run high profit margins so that you can have flexibility like that, so you can pay your people well and also give them flexibility. But I also really believe that if you give the right people that kind of flexibility, then they'll do more than people who otherwise are forced to work 40 hours a week in the office or whatever. So I haven't figured out what business I want to start yet, mostly because I haven't found like an industry that really speaks to me. I think the more probable situation is that I find a business model or an industry that would be able to sustain that sort of work environment.
That's good.
So like I work in insurance right now. I do think that insurance could sustain that environment, at least the way that what we're doing, we're selling insurance. And so I would say with any sales job, you could sustain that kind of flexibility. And a lot of companies actually do have that kind of flexibility for their salespeople, depending on how they structure it. Because there's also this like grind set mindset for sales. But I think that what we're doing right now could easily sustain that sort of model, because insurance agencies typically run like 40 or 50% profit margins. So there's plenty of room to like play in there, you know? But I just haven't figured out either the industry, or I haven't had a friend come alongside and be like, let's do this thing. So that's kind of why I haven't. That's part one of why I haven't done anything.
Sure.
Part two is my wife's been in grad school since we got married. Yeah. So she graduates in December, and that will give us more flexibility to figure out what's next. That's a lot of where my head operates. And I am much more of a visionary guy. So I'm like, I think if you figure out the right system to like motivate people to work that way, then all you do is like get more customers, hire more people, and then you just build. So I would like to build a large business because I want as many people as possible to have that kind of work environment.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think I come back to this little exercise that I like to do is whenever you do start your own thing, whenever you have your business, like imagine you are at a table with your competitors, people in your space, and a customer walks in the room. They are going to say, I need a blank that does blank. What statement or sentence do they have to say where you're the only person in the room that could be like, oh, that's us, right? Bonus points if you can get your competitors to say, oh, that's him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes what happens is we say, oh, we're the only business that cares about our clients. And it's like, I bet, you know, if one of my...
Right. No one else running their business that relies on customers cares about their customers.
Sure. But I want to be able to have Andrew Thompson, Josh Carnley, you know, Clarity guys, Devote in here, and we're all having a round table, and they're like, oh, this is what Branden does really well. If you're really focused on this, go with him. If you really are focused on, you know, this particular style, this sensibility, or like...
yeah, that pitch shed so much light when you think about literal like brand design people in Birmingham, and then when you talk about Brian's point earlier of like, I know you can do this, but does that mean that you should do that? And like one of the things that I think is really interesting, like if somebody came to y'all and they were like, I really want vintage, hand painted, like storefront typography, custom. Like what would that look like in that set? I'm just like wondering how it would play out, because it's like I'm sure every one of y'all could do that because all of you like are trained in typography or whatever.
Sure.
But like, is there somebody that comes to your mind that's like they're so good?
Yeah, I mean, there have been several times, like when I think about Matey. I mean, I think that they are.
Which is Josh Carnley's.
Josh Carnley and
Friend
Shelton
of the pod.
Carnley.
Episode 35, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Something.
I loved when he came on, and I think that he and Shelton were so instrumental in helping give me the confidence to kind of start my own thing. But they are a lot more invested, I think, than I am on brand identity and visual identity and logo development and what that means for their clients and their customers. And I think that's great. I think that is their special sauce, and I think they do an incredible job at it. They're one of my favorites in town, and not just limited to Birmingham. I think the way that Josh creates and Shelton's the structure that she brings to them, I think is awesome. And so that they do like storefront, they do restaurants really well. We talked about doing a Carnley crawl one day where we start at Pizza Grace and then make our way over to Bygones. And
that would be awesome.
Go over to June. And, and so I
wish there was like Hey, this is a freaking good idea for you or one of the graphic designers. But I wish that more people knew who was using Birmingham people. Like who was supporting local, you know?
Yeah.
So like Bygones because they used Josh or Whammy because they used you. I wish that they had like a sticker that was like certified Birmingham backer or something on the door.
That's awesome.
Whereas like, somebody who's just like outsourcing everything to somewhere in Atlanta or New York, they don't get that sticker. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's one of the things that we should develop with our podcast is like WAM approved local list or something.
I love that.
WAM approved local business.
Love that. Yeah, it's so. I mean, like if somebody were to come to me and say, or Alabama Power were to come to us and say, we want you to, I'm like, I can help you. I just don't think that you're going to get as much value. The value that our studio provides is we help small businesses and nonprofits with 2 people, like with their marketing team of 2 people or less. And when I say that is I say, meaning like typically you've got a one-of-one executive director or marketing director. They're underwater. They don't know how to keep up with everything. They need somebody who can create a system, give them a toolkit, help them execute. They care about the design, but their whole identity is typically not wrapped up in the essence of that, right?
Yeah.
And so I've got an incredible senior designer on my team, does incredible logo work. We do great system work messaging. But where our value comes into play is how that gets extended beyond that. If I were a store, like a retail, and I'm the owner, and I'm like so deeply caring about the visual aesthetics of everything. Like I think and Andrew Thompson, a Carnley, are so good at that. Where it's just like breathing for them. Whereas for me, I had a great time doing Whammy, but I bet it's much more like breathing for them than a Whammy project is.
Sure.
And so it's just when you figure out, again, who you are and what makes you unique and special, your goal isn't, I'm going to try to capture all the marketplace. Your goal is to say, okay, I'm going to do this really well. You do that really well. You do that really well. You do that really well. And we want to try to like all kind of tackle the market together.
Yeah.
I felt like it was so hard whenever we started having these conversations, and Josh, whenever we started this thing, Josh Carnley it's kind of wild now that we've done it. We know lots of graphic designers.
So many. I'm starting to make playlists on YouTube of like the different groupings of types of guests we've had on. So one of them is like designers, one is like restaurateurs. Anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. But Josh was like pretty much one of the only ones I knew about whenever we started, and I love what Josh does at Matey. And I remember talking to him, and I had made a little sketch like doodle thing of a logo guy we used for a long time, and it was funny. I did it because I was trying to personify someone being like, oh, I have something to say. But Josh was explaining like, oh, do you want people to think that you're like opinionated or something like that? And it was like this really hard conversation because I was like, I have no idea what we are. Whenever we started something, like whenever we were starting this podcast, and this podcast is not a business. So like, if I was starting something where I was like, I don't know if I believe what I'm saying right now, but if I started something that I was financially dependent on, I would probably feel the need to be more like philosophical about it. But I'm curious, like, what has been your experience when you do come to people and they're like, what do you want your business to be? And they're like, we don't really know yet. We just know we want to do something. Like, do you find that to be part of your experience? Or?
Yeah, I mean, mostly the experience I hear is like, I don't know how to talk about myself. And which means that it's like in there, but they don't know how to communicate it. And really, like, most people are doing a business because, which is funny that I was thinking about you talking about like graphic designers. Like, I certainly have a design studio and a branding studio, but I probably have since graduated much more into brand strategy and positioning and messaging and helping people talk and learn how to speak. And I can do graphic design, but it's mostly like I take the work that, I don't know if you guys know Ben Blackburn. He goes to Redeemer. He's an awesome dude. He and his wife are both designers. Cool. Ben has been helping do some part-time work with our team, and he does all of our identity work. Great designer. And like I lean into him. I think of him way more as a graphic designer talented than I ever would consider myself. Like, and that's not something I thought I would be 3 years ago when I started the business. I was starting as a graphic design business, and so here I am as a brand strategist. So I actually love this question, and this question gets me more energized. And so I ask people to, like, where's your energy? Like, when you hear people start talking, where does your energy go? Like, I love people saying, I don't know how to talk about myself, or things feel inconsistent, or those are the types of problems that I like to tackle. And so, because I think I want to try to help people get deeper answers to their questions about how they're positioned and how they're placed, and what's unique about them, and what value do they provide in the space. Because I think out of that flows your visuals and the words that you say and things like that. So when somebody's confused about some of those things, you just have to, like, continue to challenge their thinking. The two things I always say to my clients whenever we go through a process is I'm like, I know this is not encouraging to you, but no one cares about you. They care about themselves. So when someone is buying from you, they care about the implications that your product or service has for them.
Okay.
So I'm not buying from you because you want me to. I'm buying because whatever you're selling me is going to make my life better.
Yeah.
Right.
And so...
that's the two things: is nobody cares about you; they only care about themselves.
No, that's the first thing.
Okay.
Nobody cares about you. The second thing is you're not as unique as you think you are. And I say that because a lot of people think, oh, I care about my clients, or we're the fastest to do this, or we're the first to market, or X, Y, Z. And it's like, no, other people care about their clients, and other people are good graphic designers,
Yeah.
And so if you're painting yourself on, like, I'm just good at this thing, well, other people are good at that thing too, And so what I mean when I say both those things is find your value in the thing behind the thing, right?
Yeah.
When we were drinking coffee here, right? Like, when you're buying coffee, you're buying beans. Yes, but you go to Whammy, you're going to drink coffee but some people are going there not just for caffeine. They're going there for isolation. They want to be away from their family. They want to be away from their friends. They want to just kind of read a book. Or they're going there to be with family or friends or hang out, right? They're going to go to work, or they're going to go to hang out. That's the value proposition. That's the thing behind the thing, right? And so for those people, what are you actually providing behind the thing? The second thing is, how do you do that differently than your peers? So for Whammy, they had June staring them down the face, right? They had Frothy. They've got Calla. They've got Seeds. Punch Love. House 11. It's great. If you've never been,
Shout out House 11.
Go House
Shout out.
11.
Love to have you on.
But we're like, okay, Whammy, it's not about you saying we're better than June. It's about saying this is how we are made, and how we're different, and how we're
identity-based goals. Yeah.
So we said they're about for fun. Like, they want to take ownership over the word fun in the coffee space. Stay a while, enjoy yourself. Neighborhood coffee shop. Like, there are some things about it that are cool, but I would venture to say it's the most fun experience you'll have at a coffee shop in town.
Definitely.
And I don't know that the other shops would want to be known as the word fun.
Right.
Sure.
And so
June is fantastic, but I'm pretty sure they're happy to not be fun.
yeah, I would think so. And I think you can have a good time there.
Yes.
It's not can you, it's should you, right?
Yeah.
You can have fun at June. You can drink good, like, really thoughtful, intense coffee at Whammy, Like, it's like, but those are not what those two places are necessarily about. And
Right.
so, and so to me, it's a little bit of like, how can I want to take an ownable point of view that allows me to help somebody say, this would be the last thing I would leave with you guys, is like, how can you be known as the blank guy, right? The Word of Mouth podcast, that's the blank podcast.
Birmingham radio.
It's the Birmingham radio podcast, the hyper local podcast, or the, whatever it is. It's like, how do you, what's the shorthand for that's the blank podcast? And that's where you win if you can be like, oh, that's the blank thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily matter if that's what you wanted to be or couldn't be or didn't. It's like, is that where we're good at?
Yeah.
Is that where we feel a need, the want, the value, and is it what we can live into on a daily basis because this is what we're uniquely skilled at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love having conversations like this. It's so much fun to me.
I think too, like just the encouragement for anyone listening to us still is like, even I love Dolly Parton's thought too of like figure out who you are and do it on purpose. Like I think that yes, this is amazing in a business, but even chasing it to like who you are as a person. Like I think it's so cool whenever families have like family crests. I'm borrowing this idea from Austin Hardison. Shout out you, Austin. But like when families have family crests, and so it's like when Myers, when you and Claire like have a family, you have like 3 traits that are like not just generic, like everyone wants to be like fun. I guess maybe that's probably a bad example because we just said no one wants like some people don't want to be fun. Everybody wants to be like something, but like what is something unique to you? And it's like say it's like fun. Or like that's a good example. Like everybody wants to have integrity. So it's like integrity is not a unique trait to a family, but like people might want to be like more fun than other families or want to value something, like the Allen family. We're fun, we're honest, and we're fill in the blank, whatever it may
Dude,
be.
I love that because like we give our clients a little questionnaire when you start, and we're like, assume every business is going to have integrity.
Yeah.
Assume every business is going to care about their clients. Like, let's
Yeah.
assume like you care about quality. Like it's typically what happens is they pick these generic terms. They just toss them up on the about us of a web page. But I love this line of thinking because it's like go deeper into what is our unique genetic makeup of ownership that other people can try to say that they are those things, but they're not. If it's not genuine to who they are, they're going to try to imitate, and they're spending all their time wasting trying to do what you're doing, but it's never going to go further and farther because it's not who they are, right?
Right.
So we could try to go all in on retail design work. I just don't think because it just doesn't light my fire. It just wouldn't. I don't think we'd be as successful at it.
Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day that was something like "You'll never outcompete someone who's having fun" or something like that.
Yeah, or put another way is like that's doing what they're so uniquely skilled and qualified to do.
If you're not having fun doing it, and they are having fun doing it, like you'll never
you'll never beat
Yeah,
them.
don't try to get good at something that you hate.
Yeah.
And so
that's super interesting.
I just think from
That's so true.
There's so many, and that's why I love doing what I do now is because it's right on the cusp of that for most people. And you just get, with just a little bit of coaching and pushing, it just unlocks it. And they're like, man, now I get to live into this thing that I really feel is like breathing for me,
Yeah.
Brian uses a phrase a lot, water flowing downhill versus carrying water uphill. That's the can you versus should you. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
That's just like, oof, this is easy. It's just like water flowing downhill. And the other is like, what's work? I can do it, but it's work.
So
I got to carry this up.
One time I was in, it was on this past year on the spring break, like mission trip. We like take a bunch of college students and like install water filters in cities that don't have access to clean water. And we were walking in Guatemala, and we were on this trail, and there was a creek to the right of the trail, and then the field to the left of us was owned by someone, and they were definitely treating it as if it was like a farming field. And the field to the right, there was a field to the right of the creek too, and the field to the left was like uphill, and the field to the right was downhill. And it was like a stark contrast. Everything to the left was like dead. It was like brown, ugly, dirty, dead, and then everything downstream from the creek was like flourishing green pastures.
That is such a good image, man.
And at the time, I was reading some psalm passage that like perfectly. It was like this really cool moment. But I was like, it's so interesting if you just like let yourself be yourself in that moment, and you just like let the water come downstream to you, and you don't try to be like this high and mighty, cool version of whatever it is that you're dealing with. You just like let yourself lay down. then you're just going to get fed from that. I think that's a really cool thing when it comes to brand strategy in general. It also makes me sit here and think about, like, it makes me more excited. Like, people always say, like, when you're podcasting, like, you don't find your niche finds you. And I think that there's, like, probably in this conversation, I'm realizing there's a little bit more feng shui to that. Of, like, me and Myers also, like, we did the math the other day. We've done this for 680 hours or something like that.
Yeah, this is like our 82nd or 83rd episode.
That's great.
And episodes are on average like an hour and a half long.
Yeah. And, we've been talking to yapping away for so long and thinking about, like, the stuff that we're most excited for is like this, like, local Birmingham. I mean, definitely we goof and have this, like, we mess around on these podcasts, like, a lot. But, like, getting to celebrate Birmingham gets really cool. And then we've talked about going down to other places and doing, like, mini series of, like, essentially, like, local radio for Opelika, or
That's great.
local radio for like Gulf Shores or something.
Yeah, or Chattanooga or some of the other smaller medium towns.
And getting to essentially celebrate things that are happening in these other places that are cool, because we just want to celebrate people, like, living where their feet are and stuff.
And that's it. That's exactly what you just said right there. That's what I always want to try to get people to do, is when they get stuck in these loops of, yeah, but how am I unique? Or, like, I kind of want to do this other thing too. It's this hyper local, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you just naturally say it's where people are, planting their feet. Like, that's the thing that connects all of this together. Yeah. And that's, like, why does that come naturally to the two of you? Those are the things you want to be unpacking and staying and living in. Because when you say we are the blank podcast, we are the local wherever you are, podcast, then it's like, then what can spawn out of that? Well, that can be, we can take the local show on the road and focus on local over here, or we can get a WAM-approved stickers, like all of these things that really kind of pour out of this really rich desire to help people plant roots and be where their feet are.
Yeah. So good.
Sorry to cut you off, but
that was great.
Worthy cutoff. Dude, Brandon, this has been an unbelievably amazing conversation.
This is so fun.
How you've said that 82 other times.
82 other times? I have not said that 82 other times.
Yeah, no.
No.
What? Tell us, the name of your company. I think we've hinted at it a few times. I don't know if we've said it.
It's called Build.
Build.
It's BUILD, just like the word build. Build Design Studio. And we were talking about acronyms earlier. Mm-hmm. You want to hear a little story that I don't tell? I've never told. No, I have told people this, but don't tell anybody.
Okay, we won't tell anyone.
You guys don't tell anybody this.
We're not going to tell anyone.
Branden Lower Design. That was the freelance. That was my freelance business. Branden Lower Design. BLD, and then Build. BLD turned into Build. So it's really kind of that simple. But here's the cool thing about it is, like, when you're living into what you're uniquely built for, like, for me, that was creative structure. And so the word build was like, that feels really obvious, because it just naturally poured out of this idea that we want to help bring the aesthetic and the ethical together, and bring them together into kind of harmony.
I have two other names you could have used.
Branden, Branden with Branden was one of them.
No, well, I guess I have three. That's one. One is E instead of O.
Instead of O. Yeah.
And another one is my dad hated Dawn.
.com.
What does my dad hated Dawn do? Oh, they're graphic design company.
I just there's the best bar in America 2 years ago. It's this place in New York, and it's called More Fried Chicken, Please.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite cafes in New York is called Do Not Feed Alligators.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like
let's get more sentences as names.
Yeah, when names are like super weird like that, I'm like,
yeah, that's a good idea. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man.
We love doing what we do, and love kind of having conversations like this. And for me, it's like helping people get unstuck. like figure out how to move forward. And
I was going to say, I think
into
to
themselves, so.
add, you probably already have thought of this, but to add meaning to build, like my thought process was your brand. If you know who you are, that's the foundation on which you build your business.
Yeah. So this
Yep.
little logo designed by Ben on my hat. I think
Shout out
where
Ben.
it's a tree. I think if I'm wearing the right hat, it's
Yep.
a circle. It's a tree. So what we kind of think of is your brand is like a tree. It starts with a foundation, right? Really rich soil in which your brand can grow. Those are things like your messaging, your visual identity. Your trunk, that's like sort of the everyday growth. That's your day-to-day, day in, day out of your brand. Our little tagline is designed for every day. And then your branches are your growth. So once you have good solid foundation, once you have good like day-to-day communication, execution, things like that, then expand, then grow. And build are the little straps on the tree that help it grow. So we tell brands that like this is your tree.
And we're going to eat that fruit.
They're playing
Of
us
the
off.
tree. You're like the fruit of the tree. Like you get to enjoy
And just get to eat the fruit.
You get to enjoy the fruit.
Yeah.
That comes with.
What would your
that.
brand's fruit tree be?
Probably a bunch of figs.
Figs. Definitely figs.
Definitely figs.
Definitely. I mean, no doubt in my mind.
There's a fig tree
We were
next,
all
next to
thinking
my
it.
house, and I have accidentally cut it down twice, thinking I was cutting down another tree,
Oops.
and that fig tree has grown back 2 years in a row. With
Savage.
And I mean, there's some plants I can't get to grow to save my freaking life at my house, and this fig tree is just like, I mean, it's growing into the foundation of my house, and I can't kill it. It's just, but
Because it's figuring out
Relentless.
who it is and it's doing it on purpose, right?
that's right.
Where should people go to find you?
BuildDesignStudio.com or come to Whammy almost any single day.
And
in the
eat
afternoon.
air.
Pull me aside and let's talk about who you
Stuff.
are and what you're called to be and how we can help your business.
Fantastic. I love that.
And on that note, I'm going to share a little saying they have in the furniture business.
Chairs.